Hi, I'm Carrie Purdue. I am from H16 Business and I live in Corquín, Copan in the western part of Honduras. My main counterpart is an NGO that's called ODECO, and their name signifies the Organization for the Development of Corquín, my municipality. They work in a variety of projects. They work with local micro businesses, they work with farmers, and they also work with microcredit institutions. The thing that interests me the most is the work I do with data management. In Honduras, there are lots of NGOs, micro businesses, and different groups that have to do reporting, have to do accounting. Maybe they're reporting back to the people who give them funds from the United States or Europe, but they have no organized source of data.
Se nos ocurrió un día conversando, ¿verdad?, en cómo integrar esa información en un solo archivo. Al final, pues, este programa me puede generar informes mensuales, informes semanales, y eso, pues, es información oportuna para la toma de decisiones.
He came to me and asked me to help build this database. And, we put it together, I organized it for him, and over the past couple months he's been learning how to use it. And just a few weeks ago he came back to me and was telling me that he thought that he could use that data to help him make decisions, to see if future sales will be profitable when a grocery store asks for a certain quantity of vegetables and things like that. He could use the data in there and see if it will be profitable and if it's worth it for them to go and fill this order. And he came up with that all by himself. I also worked with a group of high school kids at my local colegio. They actually decided this year to start a business making chorizo or like sausages. In the end, it was only a 2-month class project, but because the business had been so successful, one of the students ended up just buying out the other students, and she's continuing to run the business today and is continuing to be successful. So that was a really great project for me, and I think the kids learned a lot, and also we have a little entrepreneur who's still running the business today.
Escucho algunos comentarios de amigos, ¿verdad?, e inclusive jóvenes estudiantes, y se expresan muy bien, ¿verdad? Eso da a entender que hay disponibilidad. Ella tiene muy buena experiencia, muy buena formación en el tema de negocios, ¿verdad? Muy buena comunicación, creo que ha sido el éxito de esta relación. Una persona muy accesible en todo momento, dispuesta a trabajar, colaborar con nosotros.
And then finally I'm working on a project with a local coffee cooperative, and in this project I'm going around and visiting farms, visiting farmers, and we're helping them make profiles about themselves, their families, and their coffee. And we're going to use these profiles to send to buyers in the United States. I mean, for me, my experience so far has been really great. It's definitely a lot different working with my Honduran counterparts than it was working as a professional in the United States. I have to have a lot more patience, and I had to maybe work a little bit to make things a little bit simpler. Hola, Marcela. I really like the cultural aspect of living in with a host family and living in a new community, learning a new language. I worked in the elementary school and the high school, and like working with kids, you can always, learn something about the culture. They always want to invite you to come and do something with them because they're so excited to get to know you and to have them in their community. You can do whatever you want for your projects in your community, and as long as it makes you happy and hopefully helps your community out, that's all it is. So Peace Corps business is whatever you make it, and that's the way I like it, and I'm glad I'm part of the team.
My name's Evan Paul. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, living in Gracias Limpier, and I'm with the H16 business class. My primary counterpart is the Escuela Taller. It's a system of Escuela Tallers all throughout Honduras. I'm specifically with the Escuela Taller in Colosuco, which is in Mount Comunidad. They're a great group of people, and they're really inviting, they really take you in, and they really want your input. The system for non-formal education in Honduras recognized the need for a lot of kids in the at-risk youth, is what they call them. So what they did is they developed this program to teach kids in these areas a technical skill. Afterwards they enroll in a business incubator, and that's specifically where I work.
El objetivo de la organización es capacitar jóvenes, hombres y mujeres en edades de 15 a 25, 30 años, una formación microempresarial que se le brinda a los muchachos, y es donde Eben ha estado brindando apoyo con capacitaciones para los muchachos en los que se les puede ayudar, y más que todo llevarlos a un plan de negocios, que ellos elaboren un plan de negocios con el objetivo de obtener un financiamiento y poderse formar como microempresarios.
In Gracias, we have a central market, which is pretty old, one of the older markets in Honduras. Plans had already been made to tear it down and rebuild it, but they saw how good the kids were at doing certain things, and the kids have actually come in for the first part of the reconstruction, and they've reconstructed all the interior walls. They've constructed new sanitary pipeline, and they've also started to paint inside.
El estar con los muchachos en el día a día ahí, ayudarles a cotizar algunas actividades, acompañarlos de repente a hacer cobros, acompañarlos a las ferreterías para que ellos hagan cotizaciones de algunos productos. Con los muchachos no sienten, o sea, que ver al voluntario y decir, ahí viene Eben, y apartarse, pues más bien ellos bromean siempre. Entonces ese efecto, pues creo que eso es lo más importante, pues.
We're working on the design of an Access database. We've got a database right now, which is in Access. First, they wanted to make another database to start tracking what these kids are doing after they graduate. So one of the things I did was take their old, instead of creating a new one, I took their old database, opened it up, and created a new part, so that now we can track what these kids are doing that's all inclusive inside of the original database.
Como le decía anteriormente, el voluntario trae una disponibilidad y una apertura de aprender cosas nuevas. Lo que nosotros como contrapartes o como hondureños o de repente en otro país, lo que tenemos que tener es también esa disponibilidad. Esta persona no se sienta como excluida o que se sienta como que, ok, a mí solo me necesitan para hacer una base de datos, a mí solo me necesitan para dar una capacitación. No, o sea, que él se sienta parte de un equipo de trabajo.
Keeping a positive attitude, not enough can be said for that, because you're going to go through a lot of things that are just going to, and it's just every day is a new challenge, and it's a challenge like you've never faced before in your life. And I know a lot of people would be worried that your language is a big hindrance, and it definitely is to have an effective job and be an effective person. It is, but you can't forget about how important it is just to try to be with your counterpart. And I found it very important with my language skills where they at when I showed up. Not only was it a language lesson every day, but it built confidence in a situation where it would be very hard to build confidence otherwise, because my language skills weren't on par with theirs. So I found that being very involved in my job helped out tremendously. As a Peace Corps volunteer in general, the greatest thing I've learned is patience and understanding. You learn to operate in a completely different manner, which I think is going to aid me for the rest of my life, and the fact that you can walk into a completely unstructured situation, identify problems, and then learn to work with a group of people in a culture that's nothing like yours. And I think that's something that can only benefit you for the rest of your life.
My name is Harrison Tucker. I'm from North Carolina. I live in Yumarangila and Tibuca, and I'm age 14 business. My main counterpart is El Palisal, forestry cooperative. When I first got to Yumarangila, it's a little bit awkward going to the office every day, kind of trying to feel out your role. But they were really welcoming, and eventually I worked out my niche as a business advisor.
Él nunca trabajó, bueno, mejor dicho, nunca trabajó con un aserradero, él nunca trabajó con campesinos, él nunca trabajó, pero él rápidamente lo maneja como si fuera algo en lo que él hubiese vivido. Harrison siempre ha estado muy involucrado con todo el trabajo, él siempre está preocupado por lo específico, pero igual y nos apoya en otras actividades, por ejemplo, cuando vamos al bosque, cuando hemos ido a supervisar los cortes, cuando hemos ido a orientar el personal, pues.
Those days are really fun because I get to talk with the members of the cooperative, with the workers, and they're great guys, humble people, hard workers, and they're really welcoming to me. So that time I use to get a sense of what the workflow is like and to spend time with the members of the cooperative, the people who are the true beneficiaries of the work. It's a great job, and it's sometimes in the office, and sometimes we get to go out to the plantel, to the sawmill, and sometimes we get to go out to the forest, wander around in the pines, so it's nice. I never thought I'd be using Excel in Peace Corps, and I'm not an Excel buff, but ended up, one of my biggest projects here was designing this accounting system for the cooperative. And once we had the accounting system in place, which really took a few months, all the other business metrics followed, and that's been a really big help for the cooperative and something that I felt good about as an accomplishment here in Yamanagila.
Y esto está facilitando ese trabajo y dejando espacio para atender otras cosas.
The Artist Affair is an event organized by Peace Corps and the embassy, and the business group has kind of taken charge of this event. And I was involved my first year designing the catalog, and my second year organizing all the volunteers and artisans to come together for the event. We really encourage people to work on the science of pricing and marketing and presenting their product and which type of product they'll bring to the U.S. market inside the American embassy.
Es la primera experiencia y a partir de eso tenemos esas apreciaciones. No lo he escuchado protestar aún, pero es un buen profesional, un excelente profesional y para mí es también una calidad de ser humano. Tiene una calidad de ser humano que en cualquier proyecto que él desarrolle estamos seguros que le va a ir bien.
I really try to be consistent, persistent, and dependable. I try to be at the office every day, make myself available to people, and whenever we did schedule something, to show up on time and follow through. I think that helped create a lot of trust between me and the organization, because the role is so flexible. You need to work on defining it. You've got to keep your motivation high. You got to stay positive, even in the face of the challenges that will come to you. And I think building work can be really rewarding. It's a great job, and it's something to be proud of.
If you give, you begin to live. If you